Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. New developments draw attention in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Losses suffered by Russia exceeded 600 in one day. The most secret center points of the Russian army on the front have been revealed. It seems that European countries will also join the tension between the two countries. Repair work continues in the areas liberated by Ukraine. Ukraine is starting to restore the areas it liberated. Russia's recent attacks are in vain. Explosion sounds in the regions came one after another. Ukrainian army continues to corner Russian troops with its strategic advance. This time, the secret places where the Russian soldiers were hiding were revealed. A large number of Russian soldiers were detected on the left bank of Kherson and in the southern Skadovsk region. These soldiers are probably either looking for a place to escape or preparing for new attacks on the fronts. Once the positions are detected, it will be more and more difficult for them to carry out an attack. Now every move has become quite critical for both countries. Ukrainian forces could at any moment carry out a siege against the soldiers on this front. This, in turn, leads to an increase in greater defeats in Moscow. General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported the casualties of Russian troops in Ukraine. Ukrainian troops neutralized 630 Russian soldiers this time. It also destroyed 75 cruise missiles, 14 unmanned aerial vehicles, 10 artillery systems, 1 air defense system, and 24 armored combat vehicles of the Russian forces in a very short time. Increase in these losses with each passing day causes an increase in tension in Moscow. Russia, whose number of soldiers has started to decrease, is trying to find the solution for this situation in the fronts with air attacks. However, as can be seen, these air attacks were not successful. On the contrary, the ammunition left in his hands is decreasing day by day. With the increasing violence of the war, tensions between countries began to escalate. As it is known, the Ukrainian troops were able to gain a great advantage on the southern front, especially in the last days. He gained this advantage mostly by successfully retaking the Kherson region. In these take-back operations, Russia suffered many losses. Still, most of his attacks go to waste. After Russia's simultaneous large-scale missile attacks in many regions, support for Ukraine came from many countries. Especially with the recapture of this key area on the southern front by Ukraine, various efforts have been initiated to restore the electrical infrastructures in the liberated areas. In fact, restoration works in many regions have already started to yield results, and regions continue to reach electricity one by one. As long as such studies continue, Russia's attacks and the ammunition used in these attacks will be completely wasted. For Moscow, which has had serious military resource and equipment problems for a long time, the shortage of all kinds of equipment and ammunition will cause major problems to be faced. Ukrainian planes continue to reduce Russia's military resources. During the day, 14 airstrikes were carried out against important points of the Russian troops. It was reported that 3 of these attacks by Ukrainian planes were made on the Russian anti-aircraft missile system and 11 on critical points where the Russian forces, weapons, and military equipment are located. Ukraine's rocket and artillery units also hit an electronic warfare system of Russian troops, an ammunition depot, and 3 important points where Russian military equipment is concentrated. Along with all this, many military equipment and ammunition were destroyed. It was also reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian troops in 9 regions, including Avdiivka, Vesel, and Vodian regions. The Russian forces, forced to retreat, continue to suffer many casualties. On the other hand, aid to Ukraine continues to increase. Ukraine will get Hawk air defense system this time. Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson Yuri Init made important statements and stated that although the Hawk air defense system is an old system, it is stored in the United States and many countries. Init stated that this Hawk air defense system has undergone modernization stages and can be used for other types of air targets as well. He also emphasized that the Russian troops pose a very important threat to the missiles used in the regions, except for the possibility of unmanned aerial vehicle attacks, and for these reasons, the importance of this defense system. He also stated that all weapons that can strengthen Ukraine's air defense are very useful for Ukraine. Although Spain received criticism for supplying old spied systems for Ukraine, it reported that these systems are effectively used on Ukrainian soil. He also stated that since the territory of Ukraine is quite large, it is very difficult to protect all the lands with the air defense system. and it stated that the longest-range air defense systems Ukraine has are the S-301 Bukem, and that they are outdated because they were built in 1970-80, but that Ukraine's anti-aircraft artillery has created miracles with these systems. For these reasons, Hawk stated that the air defense system can be very useful in some areas. It is also known that Ukraine actively uses IRIS-T and NASAM systems. Both of these systems are effectively used for the defense of lands. It even contributes to the prevention of many air attacks. At the same time, President of Ukraine Zelensky made important statements at the G20 summit. Zelensky, who attended the summit online, referred to the G20 as the G19 several times, excluding Russia. At this G20 summit, it was stated that the war launched by Russia in Ukraine months ago was condemned, that international law should be followed, and that Russia's threats to use risky weapons were unacceptable. He also expressed his satisfaction for the continuation of the grain corridor through the Black Sea. In this speech at the G20, Ukrainian leader Zelensky emphasized that it is very difficult to imagine a life without high-speed communication, computer networks, the internet, and even electricity, and cited Russia's attacks on these areas as an example. Zelensky reported that they repulsed over 1,300 cyber attacks during the war that has been going on for about 8 months. Thanks to such significant achievements, many territories continue to be liberated and recaptured. In addition, infrastructure repair works in the regions taken are very promising for the country. Russia, on the other hand, continues its attacks on Ukrainian soil. During the day, Russian troops carried out 43 air strikes and more than 40 multiple launch rocket system attacks. But thanks to the prevention of many of these attacks were also in vain, and Russia did not succeed. On the contrary, we can say that he used his ammunition in vain. As a result of such wasted attacks, Russia's ammunition supply is also decreasing in vain. It is known that a remarkable event took place in Poland. As a reminder, Russian missiles had landed on the Polish border. Upon this incident, Russia and Ukraine made statements that did not take any responsibility. Ukraine, in its statements, stated that if this incident occurred by accident, it should apologize. In his critical statements, the Polish Senate advisor stated that the news about the falling of these missiles within the borders of the country was investigated and that they were in close coordination with Poland, an ally country. NATO stated that these news from Poland were quite disturbing and they were waiting for the confirmed information. In addition, if this attack is deliberate, NATO will take action and will begin to apply Articles 4 and 5, as is known. In this case, the tension between the countries will increase even more. President of Finland, in his remarkable statement, stated that the combat readiness of the military units will be increased as a precautionary measure. Polish government spokesperson stated that they were consulting on whether the implementation of NATO's Article 4 should be started. It was stated that NATO was following this situation closely and that the facts should be determined by meeting with the allies. An emergency meeting is held on the subject. In time, it will be clearer in which direction the countries will move. Now both countries should pay attention to the steps they will take and the decisions they will make. For this, each move will become more important than the previous one. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.